This week, I spoke with Chris, aka the MLS Card Guy, and we talked about all the things that happened in Sorare this week. There wasn't actually as much as usual, but there was loads to talk about with the top 5 leagues in Europe all coming back. Loads of people seemingly coming back to the platform. Volumes are up in terms of offers. Record-breaking streams in the Sorare world. That sounds so pretentious. I'm leaving it in. It's just, but I mean, like, people are back. You might be turning back on your podcast after a few months off. I hope you enjoy it. Leave me a review, subscribe, and enjoy the episode. Chris, the MLS Card Guy, welcome back to the podcast. I met you in London last weekend, and one of the first things you said to me was that you were insulted you hadn't been invited back, but some other degenerates had been. So here we are. Had to get you back on straight as quick as I could.
Yeah, I had to come back on the show for sure. And I noticed that you had our co-host, Trippin' B from the So We're in the States Baseball podcast on last week. So you're 2 for 2 here. I guess you got to get Nashi on next week and make it 3 for 3, huh?
Everyone's going to be sick of Yanks. Nashi kind of breaks that up, I suppose. But it was funny because last week we were obviously in London. We'll talk a bit about that. And we thought we'd said our goodbyes about 3 times, I think. And then I was in this queue for security at Heathrow. Now, Heathrow's a big airport and there's multiple terminals. Happened to be the same terminal. You happened to pass me and we bumped into each other. And then I was sitting there chatting, going like, oh, geez, I haven't even organized the podcast this week. And you're like, I'm your guy. So here we are. You stood up whenever I needed someone, so let's do it. We had an interesting one, and this isn't maybe a so rare topic, but it's something that's been not bugging me recently, but I've been wondering about it. I probably need to ask the Soccer Cards United guys. Another funny story, anyone who listens and knows about that, if you're into the physical card world, I bumped into Jason, who hosts that, last night by chance in Dublin, which again is a pretty big city. The chances of bumping into him are very slim, and I did. That was weird. So the question is this: behind me on the shelf, and apologies to anyone watching this, because my door's open, and even if you're listening, you might hear some kids having fun. God forbid.
How dare they?
Yeah. God, go and play Fortnite.
Get off my lawn.
Stop playing with that ball, young man. Anyway, I could be looking at the next Foden. I can see him right now. Nope, he's crap. He's not the next Foden. But my point is that it's very, very hot and sweaty in here, so expect a bit of background noise. But my rant and the bigger, longer thing was about, we got the Haaland debut Premier League game tickets. So we basically went to West Ham Man City at the weekend. Fun game. We'll maybe talk about that too. But what I want to rattle off the bat is the ticket we got has duplicate written on it. Yeah. And I don't know if that matters or not. So basically all tickets are given out in digital form now. And if you wanted the physical one, you had to go up to the wee desk and get it. And we did that, and it has duplicate written on it. And now, this is one of those long plays where in 10 years it could be absolutely worthless and nothing. Or equally, Haaland could be the top Premier League goal scorer ever, top goal scorer ever, whatever he might be in 15 years. And you have the ticket from the first ever Premier League game he played. So that's the play we're going for here. But it says duplicate because obviously you had it in your phone as well. So I wonder how that... Anyone who's into their collectibles or collecting tickets, reach out and let me know. What's your take?
I don't know. I was worried about that as well because you want to send it to like PSA and get it graded. But if it says duplicate, they may be like, well, you didn't, this isn't the original ticket. The flip side to that is it was printed from West Ham's, printers on their ticket stock. So it's not like I could have printed it at home. It's just like they printed it and did it there. So I mean, I could literally see it both ways. And obviously, I hope that it's considered real. And I mean, we were at the game, so we obviously know. But I mean, it could 100% be worth a ton at some point. Like Michael Jordan's first game, I saw went for like $465K, which is just absurd.
Exactly, that's absurd. So like, even if this never quite hits those heights, maybe his Borussia Dortmund first game ticket will go for maybe with Salzburg even more. But ultimately, hopefully, it's a milestone. It's just an interesting little collectible point, not necessarily so rare. Related, but there's a lot to talk about in Sorare this week. I say that every week. There actually isn't a hell of a lot that's happened this week, but we're going to find stuff. We're going to talk about a load anyway. And on top of that, the biggest Sorare meetup ever happened last weekend, so we have to talk about that. The Sorare have re-released Bundesliga, the Austrian Bundesliga cards, so that's nice to see. They're on the market now, and Michelin, if that's how you say it, some of their cards are there now too. So they're 2 new releases, which are brilliant. And yeah, I suppose, I don't know. It's been a weird week. Football was back. I had lots of lineups that were kind of in the mix. Two of them that got right up there, and one made a tier 0 and a tier 1. But equally, a couple of players that let me down. Trent Alexander-Arnold shot his lowest score in his whole 1-year chart on the week that I needed him to do something. He got like a 20-something. He got a 20, and if he had scored a 50 or a 60, I would have won. Which
Are
he
you
does
selling him
regularly
then?
enough. No, his price is coming down a wee bit. I'm going to wait till game week 300 when everyone needs him and wants him. But yeah, I don't know. It feels like a strangely slow week in terms of news, but a very fast week in terms of like football. And I mean, we're back into the gutter now, where we're SO5 playing it like, we're SO5. I was building teams today and I got very confused because there were so many players I kind of forgot and I didn't know what was optimal. Yeah. And we've all the like underdogs and specialists and this is and that, and I just didn't know what to be doing. To be quite frank, I didn't know the best strategy.
And when you go in and you're setting lineups normally, like, hey, this guy played last week. He played 2 weeks ago. He's probably okay this week. Whereas now, I mean, even with like some of the Spanish cards and Italian cards that are starting, it's like, I mean, he could have an injury in the preseason. I have to go research every single player on my roster. And it just takes forever to figure out who's hurt, who's not hurt. Normally it's pretty easy when you're in the routine of setting lineups. But I feel like when you first start the new season, you got to give yourself like 1 or 2 weeks as just a cushion of like, I'm going to make a few mistakes just because I feel like everybody will. But that being said, like the Bayern and the PSG stacks went off last week. So it took some really high scores to win some stuff, especially in like Champ Euro.
I'm just having a look there. Like what you're saying is absolutely bang on. Where basically there's so much more research needing done at the minute, and it makes it really tiresome. And then normally for me, I love the kind of period between like February and April because you're kind of mid-season, you have a lot of information and all's good. The problem we have now is we're going to have a week or two of finding out, and then we're going to have an international break in September. Yeah. And then we're going to have another few weeks of kind of getting into it, and then we'll be in our stride, and then we'll have a weird World Cup. And then we'll come back from the World Cup, and we'll have a month, and it'll be the transfer window, so anything could happen. And even for the next 3 weeks, anything could happen, by the way. Like, even Cody Gakpo, I don't know whether to play him or not with the rumours. What's to say he even plays? If he's going to be sold to United for a big chunk of money, why would they not just rest him and make sure he doesn't break a leg? Do you know what I mean? So it's one of those. So, like, the transfer window, then we've got an international break or two, and then we've got the World Cup, and then we have another transfer window, and then there'll be a sweet spot where we can kind of breathe and have, like, some sort of comfort in setting our lineups for a couple of months. But, like, it's a task, isn't it? It is hard.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's going to be really hard. And even from our perspective, looking at the MLS offseason, it's going to be all broken up because guys are going to go to the World Cup. Guys are going to, transfer. There's all different kinds of trade windows. There's a draft. There's all different kinds of things between now and February, or I guess it'll start sometime like late March. Well, the season will be back. So I'm getting a ton of questions like, hey, who do I pick up as a stack for next year? And I have no idea what to answer because it's like, we are so not even close to next year yet, but at the same time, there's like 10 games left, so you kind of have to plan for next year. You just kind of have to go with what you know right now.
It's rough. It's tough out there, but it's mad because this is all I've been looking forward to, and I love it. I'll rant about it and bitch about it. Don't get me wrong, I love it. All these teams getting built, and it's like, let me see, I built a few for this week, and like, the struggles, I'm just going to run through. I'm not going to bore everyone by doing like a lineup builder here. Don't worry, that's not what's about to happen. But I'm just going to pull up. I've built 14 teams so far. But just to throw out some of the things that I'm like, I don't even know what to do here. Like Jude Bellingham, I don't even know what his story is going to be this year. The Matrix change isn't obviously in effect yet, but apparently a lot of people are saying that'll help him. Doesn't really matter for a few weeks, but ultimately it's like, how many goals are Dortmund really going to be scoring? Haaland's gone, blah, 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 blah. It's just I don't know. I think he's good for a 45, but I don't really know whether I can pick him or not yet. Jonathan David, I have a couple of him. Was that a freakish kind of thing against in a really good fixture, or is he actually going to be good? Upamecano, everyone's saying he's going to be dropped eventually, but he scored like a 90-something last week. Leroy Sané, Tony Kroos. Is Tony Kroos going to be phased out for Camavinga? And Tchouaméni, I think he'll start based on his appearance versus Frankfurt, but equally it's like, I don't know. Just looking down, there's so many like ifs and buts and mays, and I can't wait, I think, for about 3 weeks from now, the first week of September, that'll be a nice week before the international break. That'll be a nice week.
And then everything will get thrown back into chaos. But yeah, no, I mean, like Tony Kroos, we've been saying he's going to get phased out for, 3 years now? Jonathan David, like Lille has changed their coach. They've changed their approach, and maybe he'll be fantastic. He's a great player. There's no question about that. But where does the system fit him, or does he fit the system? Is really the question. So I mean, there's like you said, tons of questions out there about just about every player at this point. We have no idea really who to set and who not to set.
And we've had a mad transfer window. I'm not saying it's mad; it's just a transfer window, but it feels a bit mad to me because we've had a lot of movement. And I have a look here. Even just, I'm going to start from a few days ago. I'm on ESPN's soccer transfer page. I kind of like this, but like Neto left Barcelona, the goalkeeper, so that might be a goalkeeper in play. He's off to Bournemouth. Who knows? Connor Cody, he's not really so rare related. Angelino off to Hoffenheim surprised me a wee bit, but off he went. Isco got the move to Sevilla. Isco's one of these players that's been talked about for years as a guy who, out of form, not played, rotated, could do amazing if he gets the move. He actually has got the move, which is one of those moves that probably should have happened a long time ago. Senesi went to Bournemouth from Feyenoord. Gone up here. Mertens off to Galatasaray. Maybe he can do something there. Gonzalo Guedes off to Wolves. Don't really like that for him. Timo Werner back to Leipzig is a huge move. Yeah. Amadou Onana off to Everton. A lot of people were liking him at Lille. A few more here. Malang Sarr, he has so rare cards from his time. Was it a Porto? I think he's off to Monaco. Alexis Sanchez Dybala is off to Marseille. Dybala off to Roma. That one happened a wee bit ago, but yeah, huge. I've got 2 or 3 more here. Matty Hop from Mallorca to Middlesbrough definitely will help his price, I think. Mikkel Damsgaard from Sampdoria off to Brentford. Don't know about that as a move for him, but what a player. Vlasic off to Torino, who used to be arguably the best midfielder in the game. And the latest transfer I have here is Kiko Casilla, who was a super, super cheap goalkeeper, and he's off to Getafe, I imagine, for game time. So that could be another goalkeeper that's just come back into the game. And we've still got like another 3 weeks left of a transfer window. There's lots happening.
Yeah, there's a bunch going on, and there's obviously a ton of transfers. We aren't going to go through all of them.
That's in the last 3 days for reference. Yeah. That's the last 3 days.
That's wild. And I feel like also the last maybe like 4 or 5 days, we were so busy like talking to each other, hanging out, going to this game, going to, this event that a lot of this just kind of like, I just kind of like froze in time, and I just haven't been able to keep up with everything. And I was just so, I'm in almost catch up mode, trying to catch up with everything that's been going on. But yeah, it was an awesome event, and definitely something that I would highly, highly, highly recommend for anybody, just to get in a group of even people near you. It doesn't have to be, a big name or like Quinny or John or anybody like that. Even just a couple of guys hanging out at a bar can be a lot of fun, and you can make friends that you didn't even know you had. So I think that was, and having 60 people there was incredible. So kudos to you on behalf of the whole community. Kudos to you for putting all that together and having the cojones to grab everybody and get them all there from all over the world. So look at you.
Fair play to you and the guys who flew in from abroad in particular, but equally everyone who just bounced on the train or had a shorter flight or a bus or a walk or whatever it was. I think it all kind of went to plan. People on this podcast will have heard me ranting about it for ages, and don't worry, like if you're not into the whole meeting up thing, we're not going to rant about it for 10 years here, but equally it was a pretty special moment for the community. I don't know if I'll organise another one again. I might. I feel like I didn't get to enjoy it as much as I wished. If it was like working, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the way it was organized, I had to get in early and I had to fix everything up. And obviously, I met a few of the guys on the Thursday night beforehand, and they kept buying me beer, and I had a little bit of a hangover on the Friday morning. But getting it set up, and then I had to do this and go for lunch, and then a live stream, and then getting the wee stage area set up, working out a way to give out the prizes, because there was prizes and fair play. Thank you to Sorare. They gave us some cracking prizes to give away, including like signed shirts, Danny Parejo limited card. You love to see it. A Conor McGregor limited card, Celtic signed jersey, Feyenoord or PSV. I think it was PSV signed jersey, Bayer Leverkusen signed jerseys, lots of stuff. So, and 20 sort of merch bags as well. So big thanks to Sorare. And even also a shout out, a couple of other NFT companies give a few things. Foodium gave away a club, and Vatera United gave a couple of NFTs. So thanks to everyone for those prizes. And if you did win a prize, it'll be coming out soon. I'm waiting to hear from Sorare on the next steps. But yeah, no, I think the event went really well. From my perspective, I just wish I had more time to say hello to everyone. Do you know?
Yeah. Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. I was like running around. I mean, I had nothing to do. Literally, I was just there to talk to people, and I still don't think I got to talk to everybody. But it was, I mean, the people that I did talk to was great. Like you get to put some names with faces. You get to, kind of get a little bit more backstory than you do, because a lot of this kind of stuff is just kind of, we put stuff out there and people will like message us, but it's not a true conversation. It's not really back and forth. I can't like build off their ideas. So yeah, it was a great time. I know one of the questions that we got on Twitter was, what was your highlight and low light of the week? And definitely the low light was missing out on the merch there. I was an idiot and thought you would go against your Danny Parejo there, and
It was pretty
yeah,
ruthless.
I missed that one badly, and I was walking out with my head down there. No shame,
Yeah.
no lie.
It was pretty ruthless. So, like, for anyone listening, what I did was, there was about, I don't know, the 60 people kind of sitting down and to try and decide who the 20 merch bags went to, and then the podium prizes. We played a game of who has more followers. So it was like Sorare or Danny Parejo was the first one, and it literally got rid of like more than half the floor. Everyone got it wrong, and no one really knew that that's what they were playing for. I said, okay, we're going to play for the prizes competition, but no one really knew the merch bags were included. So like the last 20 people got the merch bags, and then the top 5 or 6 or 7 it was got to pick a prize. But yeah, it was funny. Some of the like this or that's were very like, oh, I don't actually know that one. It was like a Antoine Griezmann or Jared Piqué, that type of idea, and it was good fun. But I think like looking to future events, the thing is, when I look at it and think about it, it was lovely. It was so nice. You could see all the friendships. Everyone knew each other. We had the wee name badges on. You go up and you'd recognize the name, and everyone's chatting and making friends, and you know there was that instant bond. A lot of people came on their own and they automatically had their people. Do you know what I mean? Like they knew
Yeah,
they could all just talk about it. And even outside that crew, I mean, it was FPL was the wider event, and they all know football too. Do you know? So
yeah.
it was a nice time. The venue was pretty cool. Looking ahead to maybe doing it again. I don't think it's something you want to do all the time. Kind of
Right.
lose its, I don't know, this how special it is maybe, but
Magic charm.
the magic charm. If you're doing it every 2 or 3
Hmm.
months, no one will go because
Right.
there aren't enough people in one area. I mean, you could do that with a smaller group maybe, but I think with something like this, look at it for the end of the season. Maybe we did it for the start, maybe do it for the end, or maybe just do it for the start of next year. But when I think about it, I just hope Sorare organize it. Do you know? I want to just go. I don't want to do
Yeah.
that. And I mean, I will do it if no one else is going to do it. Don't worry. But I mean, ultimately, I think being able to just mill around, have a beer, and chat to people would be nice.
It'd be
Uh,
way more fun. I know I definitely had a lot more fun than you did, because you were definitely running around literally all hours of the day and night. But yeah, I mean, even it doesn't even have to be a massive thing where people fly in from all over the world. It can be regionalized. It could be, you
yeah.
know, So Rare London has one, So Rare Paris has one, So Rare in the US has one. Obviously, it's a little harder in the US with travel, but it doesn't have to be this massive thing where all 100,000 people from Sorare get together in one room. It can just be, you go and see a couple of the mates every couple of months that are
Mm.
just near you, and it doesn't have to be a whole weekend thing. So, I mean, there's
Yeah.
there's tons of different ideas, and obviously, people in the community can be creative and come up with great stuff. Like, so yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that I love to see. That was one of the big reasons I got into Sorare in the beginning, was because of the community aspect and making friends. And I was telling people, like, this is my very first time in Europe. I've never been to Europe, never had the opportunity, and now I go and meet 60 different people, most of whom know who I am and want to come up and say hi and have a conversation. Because I'm not a very extroverted person. Like, I'm not going to go and talk to people and make friends. Whereas people kind of coming up to me, and yeah, it was an amazing time, and it really kind of brought me back to why I started Sorare and why I got into this. So I definitely hope that we can put some more stuff together in the future as well.
Hashtag SoRareCon with all your feedback, ideas, photos, whatever else. There's a few there already. It's kind of funny. But yeah, no, it was funny. And even being on stage talking was different than this. This is easy.
Yeah,
That's a bit different. I actually found it, I thought I would be more nervous. I didn't really give a shit. But I think, again, it comes back to that. I felt like I knew everyone, do you know,
yeah.
which is strange. But you kind of
And the
knew
people
everyone.
heckling you in the back, you all knew who they were. So
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That you don't take it too personally. And on top of that, I think that's where I kind of get away with it, because I never really profess to be an expert. I talk a lot of shit and I know I do. But that means when you're on stage, it's not like you're going to get caught out. You know, if you're up there trying to actually drop bombs of knowledge and really enlighten people, then there's a pressure on you to perform and give that. But whenever it's just you up there having a bit of fun, and it was good fun. But basically, really good fun. Hopefully, we can do it again soon. Thanks to everyone who travelled, and yeah, let's get stuck into the season. So, football's back 100% this weekend is the way I've kind of written it here. We have Spanish football coming back. A few guys there I forgot about, none other than Danny Parejo, popping up everywhere in my gallery. And then we also have Italy back. So that's interesting. I have a couple of Milan players and a few others, a few Napoli guys. We've got a full stack now, got in to champion Europe. And there's no Mbappe, albeit I know he'd be playing under 23. Mbappe caught out a lot of teams last week and helped a few people get to podiums that they might not otherwise have had a chance of whenever PSG went and won 5 or 6-0, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But I feel like every week I'm saying football's back, but football's been back a little bit more each week, and I think it's truly there now.
It's just kind of building and building and building, and we got like Austria first, and then a couple of the bigger leagues, and now we have. I think everybody's back now, right? I don't think there's any teams that are or any leagues that are still off. It'll be really interesting to see. Like we were talking about earlier, with all the transfers and new faces and new places, it'll be really interesting to see how some of these guys fit into teams. And I think there's a ton of opportunity right now with guys who are kind of flying more kind of under the radar, that maybe have a transfer who weren't playing at their last place. To kind of get in and get some guys before they kind of blow up.
Yeah. As I was saying, so many moving parts, so much opportunity. Here's one. I won't say who they were because I don't know if they want to know this is public knowledge. But I was talking to someone at the weekend. I don't know if they listen to the podcast or not. If you do, I can name you next week if you want to be named. People might know who it is anyway. Maybe I was sleeping under a rock. But basically, he doesn't play SO5. He just trades. And do you know what his latest play was? He bought 400 rare goalkeepers that were retiring or old. And that's all he bought. And he bought them all at an average price of 12 quid. Because he got them a few months ago, sorry. He was buying them a few months ago. And he was just buying old retired ones when he dipped. And he was just spamming out offers to everyone, getting blocked here, getting blocked there. 12 quid was the fair enough but low price at the time. And he picked up something like 300 or 400 goalkeepers, rare, and his plan is to flip them into now. And apparently the floor of that type of player at the minute is 50 quid. So it shows there's
that's not a bad idea. Yeah, it's really not a bad idea. It's coming up with the rare goalkeeper thing. I had 2 maybe, but I didn't go anywhere near as hard as that. I haven't really checked the price, to be honest with you, lately, because I was kind of waiting. I wanted to kind of let it go a little bit, and once people get a little more desperate, then I was going to go back. But yeah, that's sounds like a great move, and I know, that's kind of the beauty of Sorare is you have multiple ways to play the game, right? You don't have to just go for rewards. You don't have to go for the top players. You can flip guys that are undervalued. You can flip guys that maybe they're not playing at one team and then they transfer to a new team, and all of a sudden they're going to start playing. And if you kind of have that insider knowledge, you can kind of play that way as well. And I know that's something I think I'm a little bit better at is the trading aspect as opposed to the rewards aspect. I'm total shit at putting lineups together and actually having good players. Because every time one of my players has a decent couple of game weeks, their price goes up and I'm like, oh, I have to sell that now. So I never actually have anybody who's on form. So it's very difficult. Even though I have good players, they're normally out of form. So yeah, I would consider myself more of a trader, and now is a really great opportunity to kind of flip some cards high and buy some others low. So it's kind of a trader's dream right now.
There is a lot of liquidity in the market. I don't have any evidence to back that up, but I'm feeling it. I'm getting offers through. I won 2 rewards Tuesday. We're recording this on Thursday, late in the evening. And I had them flipped and sold within about 36 hours at very, very fair prices.
Yeah.
And now I've got an ETH balance, and I think if you're looking to sell, there does seem to be a bit of movement going on. I might go and check out Sorare data. Have you noticed anything?
100%.
Did they get rid of the charts? No, they didn't. Did they get rid of the manager page on Sorare data, to see who the biggest managers are?
I haven't checked in a while, but I know you're up there somewhere if that's what you were looking for. If that comes,
I actually was. It was an ego thing. I wanted to see where I come. Am I top 100 or am I top 500? I don't actually have a clue.
I wouldn't be in the top 5,000. That's okay. No, I think there's a huge liquidity in the market right now, just because I think a lot of people are building teams for this new season, which I think happens a lot at the beginning of seasons. And also you have people like me who are kind of trading out, right? I buy stuff at the end of the season, hold it during the off season, and then now is the time where I typically sell. So I've sold a bunch of stuff here recently. Just sold Musiala today. Just sold Upamecano last week. So I mean, ton of like bigger name European type guys that I'm probably not going to hold all season. I'm probably not going to keep all season. I'm probably not going to play all season. I'm just going to cash in while they're really high and go and get some, either MLS or MLB type stuff that's very low at the moment. So, yeah, I mean, it's one of those time periods where everything kind of overlaps. If you want to play for rewards, you can build your team now. If you want to be a trader and sell, you can really sell a lot of guys right now. So it's kind of a good time for everybody.
I'm interested, right? Because I speculated the whole time, and it's not. This isn't mad bombs of knowledge, but like, I kind of thought, okay, it's logical that football stops in May and people switch off for a couple of months and then they come back. And I was looking at YouTube views, between like January to April, from like February to April this year, I put a lot into YouTube and the views were like doing way better than they were before. And everyone's going great. And I was thinking, this is amazing. And then it's kind of tapered off for a month or two. And I was wondering, am I just talking shite to myself to make myself feel better here? But my logic was that, okay, well, a lot of people are switched off. They aren't really maybe playing. But then, and I know this is no barometer of Sorare this is no real way to measure Sorare and everything. There's much more efficient or better ways to do it. But basically what I'm trying to get at here is on YouTube, views are coming back a little bit. I did a stream yesterday, 2 days ago, and there were 275 people watching the stream. That's a Sorare stream at about 6 or 7 in the evening. And to put that into perspective, my biggest ever and this was nothing special. This was another reward opening. That was my biggest Sorare stream by over double. I think the best I had before that was like 130. 275 people on a YouTube stream. People are back and they're wondering what's happening. And I'm actually interested to go and look at like my YouTube views overall, over the last whatever. And maybe other people don't care, but people always ask me this because they always want to know, like, they think that's some sort of like gauge of how things are doing. Yeah. But if I look at my views over the last like 90 days, that's a really shit graph. I'll work it out and come back maybe next week. But ultimately, things are ticking up. And if you go and look at the offer volume history on Sorare data, the graph is like we're constantly sort of peaking around breaking previous highs in terms of volume of ETH. Like the Gary V boom biggest day was 1,010 ETH or something like that, just over 1,000 ETH. In June, we had a day where we had 1,200 ETH, but ETH was low.
That's wild. At
the start of July, we had a 1,200 ETH day. And there again, the 3rd of August, we had a 1,200 ETH day. And the last couple of days in a row, we've had over 1,000 ETH volume on secondary. So there's a lot of movement. There's a lot of ETH changing hands, is suppose what I'm getting at. Like the market's heating up. People are excited football's back.
For sure. And I mean, if you,
well, I suppose.
Yeah. Baseball is also in there as well, which does add a lot to the market. But yeah, I mean, if you really think about it, like your normal typical user is focused on the European leagues, one or multiple of the European leagues. And when they get to May, they're going to do one of two things. They're either going to shut off and not play for 2 months, or they're going to go and play MLS or Asia. And I know there are quite a few people that do that, but there are probably more, I'll say, people who aren't quite as vocal in the community. Because I think the people who are really vocal want to keep being vocal and they want to keep playing and they want to just have something to talk about. Whereas it's more the silent majority type of player that just plays on their own and doesn't really connect too much with the community. They're going to more switch off and then come back in August when they see Sky Sports is now showing highlights again. So yeah, I think there's a huge swing of momentum. You're obviously getting some more baseball people now. You're getting a ton of European views for soccer, which is great. So yeah, it's a really exciting time, and I hope we can break some high records and break some views records and all that kind of thing. And by the way, to put that in perspective for a stream, 275 people, it doesn't sound like a lot if you're looking at like views on a video or something like that. 275 people were in the same place at the same time watching you, which is absurd. Like, you can't get 275 people to do anything at the same time. So, I mean, you got to have a huge base in order to pull 275 people that are free at that time. So, congratulations to you. That's really great. I hope you continue to break those records, and I hope we make 275 look like an average day here in the next year or two. But
yeah, look, it sounds like a wee bit of a humble bragger bringing up view counts and whatever, but honestly, it's a case of like, it is more than double the previous best, and it was out of nowhere. Do you know what I mean? But when I say it's out of nowhere, it's not really out of nowhere. It was the Tuesday after Premier League football was back.
Right.
That's when it was.
It's that time of year.
It's that time of year. So, like, people are coming back. Maybe there's a lot of people. If you've come back to the podcast after not listening for months, let me know. Reach out, because I'm interested. And leave a review while you're at it. You scumbag. But yeah, no, it's just exciting. You know, football's back. We're all here. It's all great fun. But on top of that, as I already alluded to earlier, the confusion about what to do, what lineups to build, who to put where, how fit are people? Are people going to get injured or rotated? Are they going to have a transfer? It's just like, oh my God, my head's broken from it today trying to build lineups. I did it in a members only stream there, and I was building them for about 45 minutes, and I don't think I was any near like my final teams. You know, I still have to go in and put an hour in later, like, but yeah. But yeah, good fun. Speaking of last weekend, you had a big score, a very respectable score, but still got no reward.
Nothing.
What did
Absolutely nothing. So I put up 368 in Champ Euro, and I was like, okay, I feel like we're in good shape. And also, I was hurt by the fact that Brendan Aronson had a goal that wasn't a goal, that was called an own goal.
Yeah.
And I was like, there was no points awarded for that, and it would have been 25 points if he was credited with the goal. And I was like, that kind of stings a little bit. But yeah, 368 didn't get a thing. I mean, I could see like tier 3, tier 2, but I think it was just some of the Bayern and the PSG stacks went off and really set the bar really, really high, especially in Champ Euro. And I kind of want to just be the voice of reason and say this. I don't think that's going to be a typical week. I think you're going to see some more normal type scores a little bit are going to carry the day. So 368 hopefully will be enough almost every single week. So I don't want to have anybody shy away from Champ Euro just because of that. But it is a lot harder, and it is, there's some great players that put up some huge scores. So 368 didn't get anything. That was, that's one of the better weeks I've had, period.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. That is pretty sick. It's just made me go and have a look at some things, and I'm locking Danny Parejo into a wee Kawasaki Frontale team here. So it's a Parejo captain with the defensive stack and Damiao. Sorry, I just got distracted because I just remembered. Oh my God, I've like loads of limited Danny Parejos. I should put them in every lineup. And you know what I've made my thing, by the way? I've in Mega, I always captain Parejo. Always. And in the Sorare data in this World League, the World Division, the World League. I don't know if it's going by anything else. It's just the World League, isn't it? How did your game week go?
I was great. We actually finished top of the entire league. We had the most points.
Oh baby!
So I think we were playing like Sorare Pip, I think is the name. He wanted a shout out because I beat him so bad. So there's your shout out. But yeah, I've been talking trash in the Discord the entire time. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to be the Sunderland. I'm going to get relegated throughout all the leagues. I'm just going to enjoy my time going down. And here you came out and popped the highest score of anybody in the league. So I don't know what happened, or I don't know if we gave the guy steroids or what. But Aaron Long in the back, man, he's the captain that we all need. And it was great.
I had a game. It was a derby, if you will. I won't drop any names.
Was there a fight?
Any names. No, there was no fight.
Oh.
No fight. Just a little bit of a blocking, creating some drama within the World League. But we'll say less. But the fun part is that I was blocked out of nowhere, and then we came up against each other in game week 1. How awkward, you might say. How awkward's that, you might say. So we were up against each other. I balled out. Limiteds are included. I went balls to the wall. I had an Mbappe captain, though. But look, I won't say anything about anyone or who it was, whatever. All I'll say is that 1-0 to Sorare, not on a budget. I won.
Sorare, not on a budget.
That's all I'll say. But it was good fun. So this week we'll see who we've got. And we'll go from there. But it's good fun. It's good fun having that. It's just a nice little side thing. And again, that's about building communities. And back to the meetup, at the meetup, people were talking about it, who they got. People were checking their Sorare data for that as much as they were checking their lineups. And there's little Twitter groups and things happening, and communities been built and friendships been made over a bit of shit talk and bragging rights, which is always nice.
I freaked out for a second because Sorare data went down. I couldn't check my World League, so I was I think it was Saturday it went down, and yeah, I was freaking out because I needed to see how we were doing, and as it turned out, it was not close at all. But who's in your league? Who else is in your league that is not that is to be named?
I don't actually know. Look, anyone?
Because I know I've got Hoodwink in my league. I've got Quinny in my league. So like, I'm excited for those matchups where we're gonna get to play some of the guys who are at the meetup.
I'm only playing like everyone in the league is Alex, Harry, Heydinho, me, Alex Dobbins, Raymond. So rare. Alex Dobbins is a lovely guy, by the way. Met him the weekend.
Very nice guy.
Scotty San, Secots FC, So Rare on a budget, So Rare Monkey, who we met at the weekend, Walmart as well. So a very, very competitive division. But that's Division 4. I'd hate to see what League 1 looks like. I'd say that's...
I don't think it was built on who's got the best lineups, because they put me in 2, and there's no way that I have one of the second best lineups. I think it was just like who signed up in what order. And they just kind of kept adding more leagues and more leagues. So
that's probably fair. And then over time, as people get promoted and relegated, the cream will rise to the top.
Yeah, exactly.
And newcomers come in at the bottom. I suppose that's how they'll do it, is it?
I wonder how... are there are prizes, right?
There are. I think there's been cards donated or like put up for it.
Yeah.
I don't know what they look like, but it's definitely interesting.
I wonder how they'll handle like the World Cup and stuff.
I have no idea.
Some people won't have full teams.
They won't. That sounds like a headache for... Is it Dazer? And who else is organising it?
Bob, Orangefly.
Oh yeah, Orangefly, Bobfly. Yeah, those guys. Good luck with that. But it's good fun.
They also had a cool little like recap video as well. If you haven't seen that, definitely go check it out.
Oh, I didn't even see
on
that.
YouTube. Quinny and Bob and Dazer had a little.
They just had a look through the fixtures, did they?
Yeah. Yeah. After the game week, so they said who won and who lost.
I'll watch that. Well, look, I'll tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna talk about something else.
Very specific of you.
Oh, my head's broken. I'm telling you, right? You see, between last weekend, 3 nights on the drink, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then I was out last night at a gig, out very late. Mark Rebele, Loop Daddy, went and seen him. He was outstanding. And I got home today, and it's boiling hot, and I'm here, and I'm going away tomorrow for 3 nights on like a boat, like up the canals and rivers in Ireland with like 12 lads drinking and eating food and whatever else. So I'm just like, I don't know.
So what you're saying is your calendar is pretty free if people want to send you anything.
Something like that, yeah. It's just, I don't know. My head's up my arse when it comes to content, but I'm trying my best here, guys. Cut me some slack. So yes, I wanted to ask you about MLB. Now, again, I was saying to you off air, and I want to just to everyone listening, I'm having this kind of like, and I genuinely I asked for feedback on a lot of things, but honestly, please do DM me about this one. I really don't know what way to go with content, both here and on my YouTube, where it's like, do I just be the football guy and just keep being a football guy and try and be the best football guy I can be? Or do I try and branch out and cover all the other sports, because there's going to be many more, over time? And I don't want to pigeonhole myself and just be one, but ultimately I don't know baseball, so who really wants to listen to me talk about baseball? So It's about trying to decide, do I want to cover baseball in some way, shape, or form? Do I not? Does my YouTube channel turn into like to use Quinny's and like channel's idea, the Sorare TV type model, where you're more of a network with different contributors, and I'm just the football guy on that channel? Do I do it that way, or do I just not do? I don't know. I'm at a bit of a crossroads. I'm going to give myself a week or two to kind of decide. But any feedback or thoughts on that, much appreciated. But I
think what because we're in kind of the same pickle. We're I have Sorare in the States, which has a football podcast and a baseball podcast as well. And we kind of, when we started going into baseball, I've played baseball, so I know baseball. I've grown up with baseball. It's something that comes very naturally to me. But obviously, Nashi is the opposite, right? He's never seen a baseball game before. So we kind of came to that conclusion that we can do more of like the network side of things, where we brought in Trippin' B, who's been a fantastic co-host. He used to work at MLB Network, really knows his stuff. He's kind of getting back into baseball. we've kind of gotten some of the guys who are starting to lead that kind of community. I know our guest like a couple of weeks ago here, Miguel, is really knowledgeable about baseball. He played a little bit of soccer, but obviously wasn't huge into soccer. And now he's starting to become a huge whale, and he's a really talented guy. And I can't wait to see what he kind of comes up with. So it's kind of like we've kind of taken the approach of more let people do what they're good at and let them do what they're passionate about, and don't really worry about it. Because the other consideration here is, to reference Nicholas from a couple of weeks ago on your podcast, we're adding more sports. Like he's come out and said it. We have at least another sport coming. Are we really going to go and cover tennis and cover golf and cover baseball and cover soccer every single week? I just don't think it's possible for one person to do.
Yeah, and you'd be doing it half-assed. You won't be able to fully know. You know what I mean? I feel like I could get away with like football plus one other, but it would need to be a sport that I grew up playing, like rugby, that I already have a grasp of, or like golf or something. Right. But like for me to try and go and learn baseball, it feels very like when I tried to go and learn. It's different. It's very different. But hear me out. Whenever I decided I wanted to get into Asian football, I was saying to you, I think off air again, because I didn't grow up with it, and I don't know the history of it, and I don't know the running narratives, and I don't know who people are, and I don't know the story behind it, and I don't know who's traditionally good. All that lore and that history builds into why you follow a league and why I do, and even just understanding roughly like what academies are good, who does this well, who's from there, and having a network of people that follow those. When I tried to get into Asia, it was just like I don't know who any of these are.
Yeah,
I don't know anything, and it was like,
and that kind of transfers over better than baseball to football. It's like baseball is a whole new sport. Our last Sorare in the States MLB podcast was basically the things that you would learn in Sorare soccer that you should not be using in Sorare baseball. The things that are completely different. And there's a lot of stuff, to be fair. There's a lot of things that, things that would serve you while playing the football game are just not viable in baseball. They're just two completely different sports. And without you kind of knowing that and having that background, it's really tough. It's really tough.
Yeah. So I think like I could try and cover baseball, but it's always going to have to be with someone. I can host it, but I'll need someone to actually talk about it. Right. But ultimately, how much of my current audience even cares about baseball? Do you know?
Right.
And then the people who do care about baseball, who are going to come into the platform, are they going to come and listen to some random soccer guy talk shit about baseball? Or are they going to go and just find the best baseball guy? They're probably going to do the latter. So just let them do it. I don't know.
I'm very offended you didn't say I was the best baseball guy.
No, you're kind of like, you're I was trying to come up with something witty, but I've already explained my brain isn't working today. But you see, I actually don't even like follow baseball to the point that I don't even know who makes baseball content.
Yeah.
To be frank.
There's not a lot, to be fair.
Yeah.
There's not a lot.
There will be. Oh, but I want to ask you two things about baseball anyway, okay? Again, sure. I think the way I see these podcasts in the short term anyway is being kind of like 80-85% football and maybe a 10% of baseball just to catch us up. So they're changing the scarcity competition schedule update. So basically they're phasing out commons from the limited pro. The super rare all-star, they're changing it a bit. People can go and read it if they care, but ultimately that's going to change a little bit over time. Oh my goodness. I've podcasted for over a year and my phone has never made a noise on the podcast. And that
I was going to say, that's not mine, is it?
Jeez. I'm really off my game today. So my phone went off the first time in like 60-something episodes. But the big thing I want to ask you about in baseball is Trip and B was going titties last week about how much of a shit show it is in terms of the trading and this and that and all these other things. What's the status on the ground now? How's it looking?
Yeah. So we talked about that on the podcast, and we kind of went off a little bit. To be fair, we said, Sorare is a company that moves kind of slowly at times, but they typically end up moving in the right direction. And I think this is kind of one of those things where they just haven't quite gotten everything together yet, but eventually they will get there. Because this stuff is. See, the thing that really gets to me is we don't really understand why this isn't a part of the game. Like, you can make offers in football, no problem. It's like a one line of code, maybe. I don't know. I'm not a developer, but it seems like if you already have that written for football, it should be very easy to implement for baseball. But like, you can't make offers right now. You can't search a player right now. I mean, there's a load of different things that you can't do that you can easily do and are a big part of the game in Sorare soccer. And yeah, I mean, nothing has changed as of right now. We're still kind of waiting on a lot of updates. I don't know if it's fair to call this like a soft launch, where they're just kind of launching the last couple of months of the season, see what doesn't work, and then they'll fix it for next year. It kind of feels like that's what it is, to be honest. Like there's a few things that they didn't quite have time to get to, maybe. So I would expect this to be much more developed over the off season when there's not games going on, when they can fully focus on things. But yeah, I mean, there are a few things where it's just like, how is this not a part of the game? Like you have to buy somebody at full price. You can't make an offer for them. Like that just seems absolutely ridiculous to me, and it seems like it's very easy to fix.
Yeah, I'm having a look at it there. It does seem a little bit mad, really, that they rolled that out. And I mean, if I was a diehard baseball guy, I'm so excited about this, I'd be livid. You know?
Yeah.
So,
and especially those of us that came from soccer and know like this stuff is normal, like this stuff we have. Like if you're just coming into baseball for the first time, you may not know that that's even an option. Whereas, we kind of know like this is the standard, so we're set, and they didn't really live up to that standard with this launch. But yeah, I mean, obviously we hope that they eventually get there, and kind of the success depends on having a fully formed game that they've released. So yeah, there's more to come, hopefully.
How do you can you go to the market and, this is just a shit show, isn't it? Manager sales, you could sort, but I can't make an offer. It's buy or go away.
Right. You can't make any offers. You can't make any trades. You can't, it's literally just, you can only buy one player at a time.
The lack of trades, it really isn't good enough either. In fact, none of it is, but is it making the floor any more competitive because people know they aren't going to get offers? So are they actually listing it at like a fair price, or is that just not really happening?
Not really. I mean, especially the market's kind of settling some, but there's really no secondary market as of right now, because anyone who's bought a card, it's only been 3 weeks. Like you don't really want to sell your card after 3 weeks, So you're really the only people listing stuff are like flippers who got stuff very cheap, and they just ask whatever price is the lowest currently, and if it's outrageous, it's outrageous. They don't really care. So yeah, I mean, there isn't really a secondary market. I've bought maybe 2 things off secondary, and the rest has been primary. So yeah, I mean, it just isn't there right now.
That's all a bit mad. We have it so well over here in the football world. We think we have it bad. Look at those poor baseball guys, over there struggling. It's tough out there. I think I said this already, but I had a note down because I just really wanted to bitch about him again. Trent let me down in a big way. I did mention this, so I won't dwell, but he let me down in a major, major way last weekend, and I just kind of needed to have a rant about it. Where in my under-23 Rare Pro team, I was 18th with 407 points. Trent captain shot 21.6 points and his bonus is decent for me. I was 43 points off winning I was 54 points off winning. So if Trent had a shot an extra 40 or something, got a 60, I'd have been in the money. But this isn't the first time this has happened. My 2 biggest letdowns in recent months at the end of last season, there was a couple of weeks in a row where I captained Trent and he shot 25. So all I'm saying is game week 300 cannot come quick enough.
You didn't get Sorare to fix the matrix fast enough for you, I guess. You should have told him to do it immediately.
The podcast, off air, I said, Nick, you need to sort me out. Hook me up with Trent. Go and change the whole matrix just for me. And he said, okay. And then he went and did it, but he just did it.
It was announced the next day.
I mean, I said to him, realistically, you probably should give them a few months at least. But I mean, if you make it like 6 weeks, they'll probably just get over it. And he went for that. But I kind of thought he might have given me 2 or 3 weeks. Implemented a bit faster, game week 296, something like that. But look, okay. So let's answer some questions that were submitted. There's also been some statements. This is what I want you to do for now, guys. Give us questions, give us topics, but also give us hot takes. I love dissecting a statement. I love actually coming back on someone. All right. So Cal has said, and this isn't the Cal that maybe who's been on the podcast before. It's a different Cal. His bold statement is that Koulibaly is the best centre back in the Prem, and Man United won't finish inside the top 6.
Top 6.
I think it's a bit early to say he's the best centre back in the Prem. I think Virgil van Dijk's going to be hard to topple there, really.
Yeah.
If we're really having a go, but he did.
Koulibaly's really good though.
He's really good, and I think he looked really good in that first game week, and I'm over the moon.
Yeah,
I'm so happy. So there's that. But then United finishing in top 6. It's not really a so rare conversation, so I don't want to spend too long on it. But I think the table goes something like City, Liverpool, Spurs, and then you're maybe looking at Arsenal, then Chelsea, then United. I think United will finish 6th or 7th.
From what we saw from West Ham, can they finish in the top 6? They got pretty beat pretty bad by City.
West Ham, it's City though, isn't it? It's hard to judge them on that. I just don't know.
Right.
They didn't have a kick. That's what I have to say to that. The game was brilliant though. I suppose just to speak about that, we were at it, the Man City West Ham match, the West Ham Man City match, I suppose I should say. Haaland it feels like lazy commentary, but there really is no other way to say it. He's freakish when you see him in real life.
He's so good.
He's so big, but his runs are so good, and he's so fast for his size, and he's just... What scared me is how much they really are building it, like they are working to him. Right. You know? It's not... I kind of lazily just thought, oh, Man City will just dominate and he'll pop up and score on it. They really are like catering to him. You know, they're trying to play Erling Haaland in. He could break records like this season in terms of Premier League. Well, maybe not, but I think he gets 30 plus Premier League goals if he stays fit. I don't think that's the question.
That's the question though. Can he stay fit? Because everybody kind of rushed to put Haaland in their FPL lineup, and not to go off on an FPL rant here. Everybody rushed to put him in after week 1, and it's like, well, what's really changed from before the season, right? Like, we knew Haaland, when fit, he was probably going to score goals. He was probably going to be really, really good. The only question was, could he stay fit, and would he fit in the Man City system? Well, we've answered he'll fit in the Man City system, but we probably knew that before. The question now is, can he stay fit? And I think that's really where you're going to make all your money, is if he goes the entire season, he's going to be an absolute monster in that team. Whereas, I don't know, he's almost that physical specimen that just scares you, because like big guys get hurt really easily. Like, look at Shaq. He was hurt all the time because he's so big and so tall that like human bodies just aren't built to athletically compete at a high level when they're that, monstrous. And I think that scares me a little bit with Haaland. But when he's healthy, man, like, he's probably, I don't know, he's like one of the top 2-3 players in the world when healthy, especially in that team.
Maybe I've been looking at the wrong guy. I keep trying to get an Mbappe, and maybe I get a Haaland in. Wouldn't that? Well,
that's something? The thing. You don't. How healthy will he be?
I know. The thing is, the one thing, I was doing a lot of digging for an FPL video I made, and something that jumped out was Borussia Dortmund's injury history as a club, not just as an Erling Haaland. I think they had like a really, really bad injury record last season across the squad, so that could maybe come down then to system, coaching, whatever the medical staff are about, the physios or whoever they are. Now, I don't know. Obviously, Erling Haaland hasn't had a glistening injury-free career outside Dortmund either. I don't think he was particularly fit at Salzburg. I could be wrong. I'm bluffing. But I do think...
We're just making stuff up now.
Yeah, I'm just making shit up. I think, I do think he'll be rotated a lot, but I still think with 30 minutes, most game weeks, if not every week at least, he's just gonna wreck that league. It's Man City.
He's gonna wreck every league.
He's gonna do what like Aguero used to do. Do you know? He's just gonna be insane. But seeing him in real life was lovely.
Speaking of the game, I got my West Ham jersey on, so shout out.
Oh, there he is.
I bought my West Ham jersey, so I'm now a full on Hammer. It was maybe a bad decision in hindsight, but who cares? I'm there now. I needed a team to support,
Yeah. It's their fans were something to behold, weren't they?
I loved your video about the game, and he had the subtitles going swearing guy. I love that. I absolutely love that. He was
a very, very angry man. So if you do follow my content or care, if you've enjoyed any of the vlogs in the past, it's not on my channel. It's on the Fantasy Football Hub channel. It's like an FPL vlog. It's only like 4.5 minutes, a short one, so you could watch it in 4.5 minutes to be straight. But it was fun.
That's some great analysis there.
Lads, I just need to go. Do I have to stay? I'm falling apart at the seams here. So my point is that you can watch it over there. It was like 4.5 minutes, but I've never heard the C word more in my life. You fucking knobhead little C word was the best quote of the like footage we had, but we've beeped a lot of it out because he was just brutal. A guy behind us, and also shout out
every time any Man City player would get anywhere near the box, he'd be go on, go on, go on. Like every time, it was like he was expecting them to give up goals. It was weird.
It
was really weird.
Snap him in off. Really giving it Dixie.
Take his legs, I heard. Yeah.
Take his legs, yeah. Jay Renz, who's a Sorare manager, who's in my DMs and Discord occasionally. We bumped into him while we were walking to our seats. What were the chances? So shout out.
I was gonna say, you're famous. Like you just go to a random game and you get stopped all the time now.
I'm just a big deal, you know?
Yeah.
I'm just a huge deal. No, it's not true, but it was just, what are the chances that he's a West Ham fan? Okay, best and worst part of your trip to London. You kind of covered the worst part. What was your best part? This is from Simply Alex.
Man, that's tough. I mean, all of it was just like every single thing that we did was absolutely brilliant.
We were all kind of dying on Saturday, the event, weren't we? We were kind of dying on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were all dying. Yeah, pretty much at least I was dying the whole weekend. But yeah, I would say probably the event on Friday and getting to talk to everybody and meeting some new people, and even like there were a couple of times where people I would make eye contact with someone, and you could tell like they knew who I was, and I was like, this is really weird. Like how do people actually know who I am? And they just come up and talk and be like, "Oh, I love your stuff.
Because you're a big deal. And you're getting famous."
Remember that question about who had more followers between me and Alex? Yeah, whoever answered that one with me is an idiot. But yeah, so yeah, that was weird. But yeah, it was great to talk to everybody, and there was an FC Dallas jersey in the house, which I loved. We had the news of what's his face joining DC United during the game. I don't even remember who joined DC. Was it? It's not Lukaku. It's a Belgian striker.
Mertens?
I don't remember.
No, he went to Galatasaray, didn't he?
No.
Is that right? I have no idea.
It's not Batshuayi. I don't even remember. I honestly can't even tell you who joined. But yeah, that news broke, so we were talking about that. Yeah, I mean it was Benteke. There you go. That's who it is. Yeah, he joined DC United while we were at the event, which was pretty cool. So yeah, it was great to talk to everybody. Great to meet everybody. Put a face to some names. I'm god awful with names, so I don't even remember my own name at this point. But yeah, it was great to get a chat and have a little drink with everybody. So, what was your favorite part?
My favorite part. My favorght part. I don't know. Heathrow Airport on the way home. Yeah. No, it was. I don't know. Like, look, it was for me personally. There was a big buzz about doing something on it, like, albeit literally not really a stage, just chairs in front of everyone else. But there was some buzz to that because it's the first time I've really done something like that. So it was, for me, it was nice. Do you know?
Man, those lights were bright.
Oh yeah, the light on you was very bright. The other one was meant to be on me, but wasn't, and I was over the moon about that. But yeah, no, that was nice. But even just, I think just there was one point in the night where I was up and I'd finished wrapping everything up, and I just looked down, and there was like, once you go down the wee steps back towards the bar, there was like 50 or 60 Sorare people just standing around drinking. And it was just like, for me on my own, as like a nice, that was my like highlight little moment. It sounds very wholesome and maybe a little cringy, but it was just kind of like I made this happen. Do you know? It was fulfilling. It was like, isn't this nice? But I don't know if that feeling's enough to make me want to make it happen again.
I think it was cool that like people came on their own and just kind of automatically connected with people, I mean, there were obviously a group of us were out on Thursday night, so we were all kind of talking, and we had already made friends by that point. So we were kind of in like our little group as well. But like even people who weren't there on Thursday, weren't there on Saturday, weren't there on Sunday, just came to the event, and we were talking for hours and hours and hours about every topic under the sun. It was incredible. Honestly, it really was incredible. And I think if Sorare really wants to go beyond just ROI and the numbers and all that kind of thing, that's the kind of stuff that'll stick with you. That and you've talked about at length, experiences and getting to meet your favorite players and go to your favorite club. That's the kind of stuff that sets this apart from just a bland mathematic game that you just play to. It's just a job at that point.
Yeah. I completely agree. Just like the community and the friendships that were built there are great, and it'll keep people engaged in the game, and that's ultimately in Sorare's interest if they really want to look at it from a number crunchy business point of view, which they inevitably will. Right. Jack Doyle has asked, do you think MLB on Sorare will be a success, in your opinion? Do you think it'll turn the tide and succeed, or do you think it's going to be a flop?
That depends on what you think Sorare turns into eventually. Because in order for Sorare to be, and they've stated their goal is to be, an entertainment giant and be, the one that connects all sports fans to everybody. If you think that they get to that goal, it has to succeed. They have to do whatever they have to do to make it work and make it succeed. I personally believe that they're going to do it. I think the team is great. I think they're going to hire the right people. And I love Nicholas. I love the whole vision that they have of everything. So I think they personally will. Now, if you think they're just a group of guys that know soccer and they have a great soccer game, but they can't really expand beyond that, then it probably ends up failing. Like it's obviously a brand new sport. It's brand new connections that they may not have had before. I mean, so there are definitely some challenges with getting into a new sport, but this is kind of like their proof of concept, right? This is their moving away from just being strictly a football soccer company. It's now they're a sports company. So from their perspective, it has to work. They have to do whatever it takes to get people in, to get people playing, to get people connected. So if that means adding in an E threshold, if that means adding in ETH prizes, if that means giving away more rewards, whatever it takes, they have to do it. There's really no other option, because if this fails, they have no pitch for the NBA. They have no pitch for the NFL. They have no pitch for tennis. They have no pitch for golf. So this is a crucial time for them as a company, and I personally believe in them, but that's up to you to make your own decision, really.
Yeah, that's something like, this is the first time I suppose I've kind of looked at it and thought, oh, what if it just doesn't work? Like, what if baseball just doesn't catch on?
It's certainly possible.
They can always throw money at it, and ultimately you'd like to think if they throw enough money at marketing and whatever else, it will eventually work. But that's not good for Sorare either. And at what point do they just accept this isn't as is there a possibility they realize, let's just be the football guys?
100%. Yeah, of course there is. Yeah, there absolutely is. And I mean, this is like, you're talking about going into a new sport. Like, they had a whole bunch of connections within the football community. They're all French guys. They don't have any connections in the baseball community, so they got to make all those connections. I think it'll take time. I think it'll take them hiring staff. It'll take them hiring people who know the sport of baseball. But I think eventually they have the right vision and mindset to be a global entertainment company, in my opinion. So I think that's eventually going to win out. But yeah, I mean, 100% it could not work. Like, they could absolutely flop on this and just be a great, football soccer game.
Yeah, who knows? So that's your take. I don't really have a take, Jack. I'm sorry. Jack Doyle sent that question in.
No take for you, Jack.
Easton has his take, which is Jack McGlynn is better than Carlos Gill.
That's a bold strategy, cotton move right there. Obviously, Carlos Gil is absurd. And I don't know that anybody's better than him in the MLS, but Jack McGlynn, in all fairness, is an absolute wonder kid at coming through the system in Philadelphia. His left foot is magical, and Philly doesn't play youngsters a lot. They like, Jim Curtin never rotates his team. He always plays his own starters all the time, and the 3 or 4 guys that are breaking through it at Philadelphia are all really, really good players. And for me personally, Jack McGlynn's the best of them. But I mean, Paxton Aronson, Quinn Sullivan, they've got some real talent on the bench on that team, and they've obviously had a great season. But yeah, to say he's better than Carlos Gil at this point is a little hot takey.
A little hot takey, yeah. I'd love to have PSU fans on to have a scrap with you about that one.
If this were the meetup, we'd have to boo that one, I think.
Boo.
Get the watch out and see what the decibels is.
Yeah. And there's our first in joke. So I don't know. I'll have to check them out. I'm just like trying to not be a magpie. People probably heard me click on buttons the minute you said the name, and I've seen his name. I might have even had a card of his before. I don't think I have, but I think, you either heard about him when we did a video, or it might have been Quinny, or someone told me about him. But I don't have one yet. That might change in the coming 15 minutes. Hudson Sin, and this will be our last question. A lot of the other things are kind of mentioning stuff around the meetup and all, which is great. Matt put a question in. We might get to, we'll see on time. Hudson says, hot take, Columbus Crew will win the MLS Cup. I'll let you react to that. It doesn't mean anything to me.
I mean, I like Columbus a whole lot. They're obviously they're coming on, and the one problem in the beginning of the year was scoring goals, and then they went and signed Chucho Hernandez from Watford, who's been fantastic, and he's been really sparking them. So they're making a big push in the East. Caleb Porter wins the MLS every other year, and they won it in 2020. So I mean, this is 2022 now, so this theoretically should be their year. I don't think that's a real hot take, but really with the MLS Cup, it's a one-game playoff. Like, literally anything can happen. It's just very difficult to predict who's going to end up winning. There's so many good teams in the MLS that there's no like real great standout teams. I mean, they're going to be one of 14 teams in there, so they got a shot. But yeah, I have no idea who's going to win the MLS Cup. I can tell you who's going to win the Supporters Shield, which is like the regular season, but no idea who's going to win the actual cup.
So we don't know who's going to win the cup. Hudson, we don't know about that take. And this is one that Hudson's also asked that I'll let you go for. Top 3 surprise breakouts and flops of the MLS season so far. So I suppose just 3 in total breakouts or flops. What are the 3 biggest surprises so far?
So I'd say one of the best stories in the league this year is definitely the Philadelphia Union, and I don't think they get the credit that they deserve. They have the best defense of any team in MLS history, which is absurd. Another great breakout story is Austin, who's a second-year team who is challenging for the top couple of spots in the league, and they're scoring goals at an absolutely astronomical rate, and they're scoring with a very low XG. Like, they're just on a magical run of form for the entire season so far. And I'd say probably the biggest flop is Atlanta. Like, they have so much talent in that team, but they just don't really fit together. They've had some injury issues. They've had, guys not having really great runs of form. They've had locker room issues. Their CEO left to go be the CEO of Newcastle. Like, they've got, they probably spent $40 million on players in their starting lineup, and they just can't put it together, which is annoyingly frustrating every year because you see these guys with all this talent and they're fairly cheap because they're just not performing. You're like, well, I want them, but this is like 2 years in a row now where they've very massively underperformed. So yeah, I'd say those would be the 3 probably best, highest and lows for me.
Well, there we are. I'll take this one very quickly, I suppose. We have time. Matt wants to know, would love to get your opinion on different common leagues to allow more free-to-play areas, i.e. under 23 common, Asia America common. This is something we cover regularly. I just want to throw it at you because I haven't spoke to you in a while. What do you take on this, different regions for commons? Or do you think they're kind of doing enough for the academy and different bits that's going on there?
So as a common whale, I want to see as many common leagues as possible because I have 115 common cards, John. I got to be using them somehow. No, I think the one really positive thing that's come out of MLB has been the free-to-play aspect of them having common leagues with a ton of rewards, getting people, common cards that they can then go and play with. So yeah, I'd love to see some of that trickle back over to the soccer side and have some more, different options. Academy's a great start, good step in the right direction. But yeah, baseball is a little bit further along in on that side of things, in my opinion. So it'd be really awesome to see some of those different types of leagues. I know most people probably won't care about it, but for people just kind of onboarding and new people, it can be a really good way to learn the game. So yeah, definitely as many free-to-play stuff as we can get, I'm always a fan of.
Unreal. That just reminded me to plug in my casual team. I got to take those limited rewards off the new sign-ups, Got to not let them win anything. Give it away to the community.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Got to feed the whales.
Gotta feed
eat those plankton, maybe. Eat those plankton.
Whales got to eat too,
Whales got to eat.
Hatred coming in. Hashtag whales got to eat if you enjoyed this podcast. Oh, God, I'm the worst. Okay, 137 game. Your mate Trippin' B came on last week and he had a 162. He went for a bold strategy. A couple of footballers, baseball player, all close to his own heart. 162 means 25 quid for charity, which is decent going, which puts the total pot up to 234 euros. Nice. So I think I need to donate that soon. I might just let this roll, and then once it hits like $1,000, do it. It's like, do you do lots of little donations?
Just never end up donating it.
Just never donate. Yeah. If I never stop podcasting, I never have to donate, do I?
Yeah, there's no time limit on this thing.
I think what I'm waiting for is like a really clear. I think I'm going to keep. Look, there's a lot of charities close to my own heart I could do, but what I kind of like the idea of is having it there, and then if there's a someone in the community has a something
that'd be cool.
charity or needs something, then you have the pool. So I'm not against letting it build. I'm good for it. Don't get me wrong. If it gets to too big an amount that I can't cover, I'll maybe just have to do it. But I mean, for now we're okay. We'll let it build a while. But I like that idea. You know, maybe someone in the community is running a marathon and they've got to be Just Giving page or GoFundMe or whatever it is. Is it Just Giving? It's Just Giving. But anyway, Chris, you have to pick as many players as you want from as many different sports as you want. I've realized baseball is very hard to calculate because there isn't like a single game week score.
It's very difficult
on Sorare data yet. So footballers ideally for me, but if you want to pick baseballers, you do your thing.
I'm going footballers because I'm a man of the people. I'm trying to make it easy for you.
Thank you.
So one of my I guess another guy I could have said is a feel good story for the year, and a guy that's going to be in the Canadian national team when they go to the World Cup for the very first time. He's been a Toronto legend forever. I hope he re-signs because I love seeing him play for Toronto. He's had a great season, massively undervalued the entire season. I've had him in my team all year, and I've been trying to sell him, but just I don't like the price because he's not high enough. Jonathan Osorio.
I wondered how long it would take before we got to you pumping the shit out of someone. And you
I got to pump my own guys.
Osorio, I won him a while ago and sold him. His scores were really, really good.
He's fantastic, and he pumps AA all the time, so he has a nice floor, but then he's also scored 8 goals and assisted 4 this year. So he can get your decisive. He's gone over 85, I think, 5 times this year. So he's really good for MLS.
Like, I'm looking at him now, and I don't own him, right? But, like, you know when you just kind of have this gut feel about prices and players and stuff? When someone has an L5 of 73 and an L15 of 65 and even an L40 of 55, and they were all helped a little bit with the new matrix as well, which always helps him. And he's churning out, whenever he starts, if I have a look at that, if you sort his graph by just starts, he's a monster. And you'd get him for like 0.2.
Absolute monster. And he's going to play in the World Cup. And he's been 0.2 the whole season. Like, his price has actually stayed fairly level. Like, a lot of the MLS prices are down. He's kind of stayed there because he's just a baller.
His fate price has risen. His fate price
no one ever wants to sell him.
His fate price has almost doubled in the last month. He's went from €220 to $369. His limited price.
I didn't think about the rise in E.
Yeah, his limited price has doubled in the last month as well. That's that L5 for you. But yeah,
but
Jonathan
also,
Osorio,
I mean, he now pairs with Insigne. He pairs with Bernadeschi. Like, that's a good team in Toronto if they can put it together the last half of the season. So Osorio is going to be my pick. They got an okay matchup. Portland is hot, but Toronto is also at home. So I think we're okay there. I think he'll pump out a nice little 60 for us, and we'll try to get a goal out of the next guy.
Love it. So Osorio in.
So we're going to go with Osorio. So then the other one is a guy that kind of let me down a little bit last week. He scored sort of, but he got called as an own goal. Brendan Aronson. I love Brendan Aronson. He's maybe my favorite player on the U.S. national team. He's probably a better real-life player than a Sorare player, but he is also an attacking midfielder, so he should get some goals and assists this year. I'm counting on just a goal or an assist. I think they have a decent fixture this week. I don't remember who they were playing, but I'm going to go for my two, Osorio and Brendan Aronson. And I've told you, I'm trying to save you some money because I think I'm going to shoot well below what we're looking for, but we'll see.
Well, look, good luck with that. Osorio and Aronson locked in for 137 points. Chris, it's been lovely chatting to you. Where are all the places people find you? You have lots of content going on.
Yeah, so I've got to pump a few different people here. So obviously the main podcast is Sorare in the States. We do a football and a baseball version once a week. You can find it on our website. It's all over my Twitter and all that stuff. We also do that betting podcast with Predictology, as John from Predictology so nicely blurted out at our event. That's a really nice thing. If you're into betting, we do the MLS, and we're going to start doing the Premier League. We're just going to cover different fixtures. You guys get value there. And then another thing that I'm sort of involved with, I'm not really running or anything, but we're going to be a featured podcast on this new site called All Sorare, which is going to be, in my opinion, pretty cool. They're like basically collating all the different podcasts and all the different YouTubes and all this different thing, and they're kind of putting it all in one place, the Twitter pages to follow and all that stuff. We're going to be on there. It's going to be really, really cool. They've been putting out like different teaser posts. I think they're going to start here in like the next week or so. So definitely something to check out. And I just wanted to give them a shout out because that seems like a really cool idea. And I got a sneak peek at their website, and it does look really, really cool. So yeah, all Sorare, I think, is on Twitter. And I think I was the first follower and the second follower for them on Twitter.
Oh,
so
wow.
I'm pretty proud of that.
Yeah, I got a message about that. So I'm interested to see how that one shakes out and how it looks. But it looks like a great place as a hub for content. But obviously it's not released the website yet, but keep an eye out. So look, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm sure I'll see you again.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, John. I appreciate it. Have a good one. Get some sleep, buddy.
I work so hard. That's it for this week's episode. If you enjoyed it, please like it, subscribe to it, and do whatever you got to do. Leave me a review on podcasts. It's the best way you can help the podcast. Go and click 5 stars on Spotify or Apple and steal all your friends' phones and do it there too. Thank you so much for watching or listening, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.